And the next important aspect regarding glycolysis is why ingesting high levels of fructose have deleterious physiological effects. That is, when you take high amounts of fruits, those fruits will give high amount of fructose to your body, and any other source giving high amount of fructose to your body, then they will have deleterious physiological effects. And we'll see how these effects will occur. First, the fructose which you are taking in the diet, that fructose will be converted into fructose 1-phosphate by taking up a phosphate from the ATP. Then ATP will become ADP and fructose becomes fructose 1-phosphate. Here the enzyme is fructokinase. Next, fructose 1-phosphate is split into two molecules, that is dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde. Here the enzyme is fructose 1-phosphate aldolase. Next, glyceraldehyde will take up phosphate from the ATP and it will be converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and ATP will be converted into ADP. Here the enzyme is triose kinase. This is how from fructose directly dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate are formed. But in glycolysis, normal regular glycolysis, dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate are formed from fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. That is, fructose 6-phosphate, which is formed in normal regular glycolysis, will be converted into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. And this will be split into two molecules of dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Here, conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is done with the help of phosphofructokinase. And this phosphofructokinase is also called as PFK. And this is a main regulatory enzyme for glycolysis. Whenever there is an excess glucose in the body, this phosphofructokinase will be inhibited and they will prevent glycolysis and prevents formation of dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. But whenever you're taking high amount of fructose, this regulatory step is bypassed. Whenever this regulatory step is bypassed and directly dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate are formed from fructose. So there is no regulation for formation of dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So direct formation of dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and there is an uncontrolled glycolysis, uncontrolled glycolysis. And this uncontrolled glycolysis will produce more amounts of pyruvate. This pyruvate will be converted into acetyl CoA, and this acetyl CoA will be converted into fatty acids. And these fatty acids are stored in the body. So fatty acids levels will increase in our body whenever you take high amounts of fructose, because fructose will be directly converted into dihydroxyestone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate without the regulatory step which is present in the glycolysis through phosphofructokinase. this phosphofructokinase step is bypassed. So there is an uncontrolled production of pyruvate and acetyl-CoA. That acetyl-CoA will be converted into fatty acids, and these fatty acids are stored in the body and they will have deleterious effects. This is how high amounts of fructose will cause deleterious effects. Thank you.